I am Paul Hinault, longtime Simsbury resident and currently a member of the Board of Finance. I am here to introduce the Simsbury Republican slate of candidates for the November 5th election. You are watching this show, so obviously you want to know the answer to this question. Why should I vote for the Republicans? This is the right question and one that deserves a thorough answer. The Republican slate has the balance that represents all of Simsbury. We have candidates who come from all the diverse constituencies of Simsbury. The Republican candidates are small business owners, those with children in the school system, and young citizens with no children. In addition, we have experienced, proven leaders who bring value to the citizens and taxpayers of Simsbury. The Republicans have single-family homeowners, condo owners, renters, and those who are caring for elderly parents. The Republicans have men and women of all faiths who believe in the heritage of the United States, yet respect the principles of separation of church and state. All of these candidates know Simsbury, the challenges and special character of its citizens and business community. The Republicans bring the balance and experience Simsbury needs to address lowering our tax burden, bringing balanced economic development to Simsbury, support for the education system, and supporting senior services. Please watch as you learn more about the Republican candidates who make up our balanced ticket, which will represent all of Simsbury. I think you will get the answer to the question of why you should vote Republican on November 5th. Thank you for watching.
Hi, thanks for joining us. My name is Nancy Haase, and I'm running to be Simsbury's next First Selectman. I'm joined today with Sean Askham, who is my fellow Board of Selectmen member, and Mike Paine, who's currently the chairman of the Planning Commission, and Cheryl Cook, who is a commissioner on the Housing Authority. So we make up your Republican ticket for the Board of Selectmen, and we are pleased to be here today. We want to share with you in this brief half hour a little bit about ourselves and a little bit about what we'd like to do to accomplish some great things for the town. And so Sean, why don't you lead off? And
absolutely.
You're liaison and chair of public safety,
yep,
among other things, but
got a little bit going on from
yeah,
the board side. So
yeah,
Nancy, thanks for the introduction. It's great to be here today. You know, over the past 2 years, many of you have already gotten to know me. But again, I'm Sean Askham. I live down in Weetog. Yes, Weetog. Grew up here in Simsbury. Went away for college and came back and wanted to continue to hold the tradition of public service that my family's had for a number of years through both zoning, the Board of Finance, and through many other community endeavors to really give back to the town, which is why we all keep doing this, right? It's a great experience. Mm-hmm. So
yep,
a little bit about me. Again, you'll hear more about me as we go through the campaign, and I would love to hear from you. If you have any questions, my contact information is available on the website. And I would love to hear from anybody that has a question or some insight on our town.
Yeah. And Mike, you were a guest on our Community Conversations program
right,
just a short while ago, so folks have learned quite a bit about you and your family's service to the town. But, you know, again, for the voters out there, tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. I'm Mike Paine, born and raised in town, educated in town. Many of you probably saw me a couple of years ago on the back of the truck, and I managed to progress to the front of the truck, and now I'm president of Paine's. I've been involved in a number of different things in town, everything from those old green voting machines to being a voting machine mechanic. I'm on the Planning Commission. I was on the town's original recycling committee. I'm currently on the chairman of the Planning Commission and have really enjoyed both the group I work with and working through trying to help both businesses and residents of town better themselves. I'm involved with, SCTV, the Board of McLean's, and just a few other things. But
we only have 25
okay,
minutes.
I'll stop.
I'm not sure we did.
I relinquish the floor. Is that the proper?
Big list.
We'll turn over to Cheryl Cook.
Thank you.
And you too were just recently a guest with us, and
I
know
was.
We talked a bit about you, but again, just give folks a
Thank
little bit of
you.
a summary here.
Well, we had a great conversation, and I'm happy to be back. I'm Cheryl Cook. I've lived in Simsbury for 10 years now with my husband and my 3 children, and they all attend Simsbury Public Schools, and we just love it living here. Ever since we got here, I have been volunteering for just about everything in the
extraordinaire.
public schools.
Yeah.
I've been the president at Henry James. I've been the president at Squadron. I've been on a variety of committees at the high school, and including the School Spirit Committee, which holds an annual fundraiser for the ABC House, which I've really enjoyed doing, and I hope to get back to doing that. Now my youngest is starting high school again. I'm back.
Yeah.
I currently serve as a commissioner for the Housing Authority,
Right.
and yes, Simsbury does have a housing authority.
Yeah. And not a lot of folks know that.
Not a lot of folks know that, but we're there. And I really enjoy my service on that board. I've enjoyed meeting our seniors and working with the disabled and the folks up there who need an extra hand. And
your background there has some state influence as well, and I know we shared that, but just briefly share. Yeah.
It's true. And in fact, that's kind of how I met the current executive director, Ed. I serve as an attorney member statutorily appointed on the Human Rights Committee for the Department of Developmental Services. And I have held that position for almost 15 years now.
Wow.
And I find it to be very rewarding and important work protecting the rights of those with intellectual disabilities.
Yeah, I know Ed turned to you when the project up in the north end of town, Dorset, was reviewing some of the plans for that development up there.
It's true.
For some folks that have some
We're
challenges. And
very
so,
excited that some
Yeah.
of those units are going to be set aside for those with intellectual disabilities, and we're working with the developer to, figure out the protocols and how that's going to work.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So
She gives you a run for your money, man.
I bow to the master.
I'm sensing a reoccurring theme here, and that is currently we talk about your being the chairman of the planning and you're on housing and we're on the board of selectmen, but our service to the town just runs deep for years.
Right.
Not only ourselves personally, but our families. And so a lot of folks, they're curious, I think right now with the election, what have you been doing here and there? And geez, if we had more than a half hour, we'd share all those things. Myself, it goes way back to the early days of PTO. Creating that community liaison committee because I wanted people to know what was going on outside of the Board of Ed, and including economic development, finance, Board of Finance, Planning Commission, and such, which led to my work on the Economic Development Commission. And as we circle back to talk a little bit in a moment about what we want to do, some of that work I did on the EDC I think is going to be invaluable to my role as the first selectman. In that role in the EDC, I was doing a lot of the things that I really think we can step up and return to doing. And so that as ZBA, as an elected member, and a host of other things.
Main Street.
Simsbury Main Street Partnership,
Street,
thank you.
exactly.
Can't forget those folks.
No, those are good folks.
Yes, very good folks. So I think that at least as best we can, and we've given people a sense of what we are, and we are carrying quite a few objects around in our car, but I'll share this for some visual aid. We all have our palm cards. They do go into some detail about a lot of the accomplishments, and although bulleted, we're really enjoying going out door to door and talking to people one-on-one. There's nothing better than just having the opportunity to tell people what we are all about, what we have accomplished, and what we hope to do. And so if you see these in your doorways,
Means we were there.
please take a moment
Sorry we missed you.
before you toss them out to read
Exactly.
through them. And as Sean did mention in the beginning, our emails and our phone numbers are on these, and I think it's important. We want folks to know that they can reach out to us and talk to us at any given time about what's going on in town. It doesn't necessarily have to be specifically election related, but we ran into somebody that just moved into town.
Yep, we
At
did.
our last door-to-door, we said,
Right.
if you want to know where to go get a good pizza, give us a call. So we're
I-
willing to be full
I met
service.
a brand new family yesterday, and they had a chance to ask me about newcomers, which I happen to know about.
Yeah,
And they
yeah,
were
that's right.
having
There you go.
served on the board of Simsbury Newcomers, and it was great. I really enjoyed directing them to where they could
How
find
they could get
all
involved.
these wonderful resources we have in town.
Right.
And it's great to welcome new families.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
And reoccurring theme, I think, and we've talked about this as we've begun to go door to door and ask folks what's on your mind, what are you concerned about most, and the reoccurring theme has been concern about the taxes and the loss of the Hartford. What does that mean to them? How will that impact the town? And how can we do something about that? How can we affect that?
Right.
It's part of the reason that compelled me to run for First Selectman was we've got some tools in our toolbox. We've done charrettes. I was part of the Route 10 corridor study that we did as well. It's great to go out and talk about being a bike-friendly community, but what we need to do is take those tools out of the toolbox and impact the other side of the spreadsheet.
Right.
It's imperative that we're out there making the calls so that when the calls come, or to be made by a developer or someone, that we're the ones getting those calls.
Right. I mean, it's interesting. Mike and I are both on the Hartford Land Use Subcommittee.
Right.
With several other members from land use boards and commissions, and we were part of the interview process with the consultant. That was a great process.
Yeah.
It was interesting to kind of see what the consultant had in terms of ideas and where the other projects were, and going through that we were all at various parts of the study itself, the charrette itself. I actually drove the consultants around town Sunday morning and showed them a number of places.
Where to get good pizza, right?
But also some of the local flavor of, what do we mean when we say we're from Simsbury? What do we mean? What do we care about? We care about the ridgeline. We care about, the view of Talcott. That was really important back when they built the Hartford in the first place. Is they didn't want a building blocking our beautiful view.
Right.
In addition to education and open space and all the other great things we have in town, people really like the way this town looks, and they're very protective and very sensitive of it. So when we talk about economic development, we've all lived here. We've all grown up. We've all been a part of this community in a lot of different ways. We get it. We're not talking about stamping up big buildings or paving this place over or widening roads or any crazy talk that you might hear.
Yeah.
We're talking about responsible land use. We have to repurpose that property. We have to be thoughtful about it. The disappointing thing is we're talking about it when it's almost too late. That's really the upsetting
exactly
point.
the
They
problem.
shared some unbelievably staggering statistics, that $700,000 annually in disposable income of Simsbury residents leaves our town. People are driving out daily, and on an annual basis, they're spending $700,000 somewhere
Elsewhere.
else.
I bet you that figure's even higher. I mean, that's a rough,
Right.
calculation.
And then the market study that we just completed also shared a staggering statistic about how competitive economic development has become over the last 10 years. So to have lost that that window of time, I mean, it does get to be more and more of a struggle, and it is very competitive, and the property tax system is very difficult.
Right.
But I had a comment made to me, we won't get this or we won't get that. And I thought, well, if we don't go ask for it, it's
We
a
gotta
certain
try.
guarantee,
Right. Guarantee we
that
won't
we
get it.
won't. Right.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the interesting thing. There's a lot in the paper about, different perspectives and who did what, and, the writing was on the wall and all these other things. But, the reality is, I think the Hartford bought the building in 2010. And they paid a lot of money for it, so it was interesting. And I wasn't on the Board of Selectmen at the time. You weren't on the Board of
Right.
Selectmen at the time, so you kind of wonder what were the conversations that were had with the Hartford at the town level. What were we doing to be proactive? We knew about the Windsor property. We have limited, tax abatement programs. And we've started talking about those. The irony that this whole Hartford issue has really rekindled a lot of these conversations
Right.
that we probably should have been having for the last 6 years.
Right.
And it's not a knock to the prior selectmen or anything, but you need to be truly visionary and look forward and see the landscape coming. And I think that's as I hear your economic development plan and what you're talking about, that's what I hear when
Right.
when I hear you talk about it.
Yeah, and it's actionable, and I think that's the thing that people are really talking about, because it seems as though it does all focus back to that. In other words, to be able to support our schools and support facilities and programs for seniors and to sustain our assets, our bike paths and all those things, we have to have that source of revenue, and that means that we do have to pay that attention to the other side.
And I think we're hearing from people that they want to protect the businesses that are here now, because
Yes.
now as the Hartford leaves, those businesses on the periphery of the Hartford,
Oh, yeah.
the daycares, the coffee shops, you know,
Right.
all the little
The repair shop.
the repair shop, you know,
Absolutely.
Where you get
the
your oil
car,
changed.
even the car dealers, you know, they're all impacted by the Hartford leaving, and we have to support those local businesses in order to retain what we have. You know, before we even get to new businesses to town.
In speaking to some of those folks, they were pleased to have been reached out to and
Exactly.
had their concerns heard, because it is, as you said, so that ancillary, that secondary sort of wave and impact. And so, you know, people ask, well, you know, what are we going to do? And I think, you know, it's an economic development expansion and retention plan that really has some solid, as I said, actionable items to it. You know, working locally with the current businesses, you know, I've heard of 2 different parking issues going on in 2 different areas of town. That is, one of them has the potential to actually impede a business from coming in to an area. Others are you know, calculating sales per day per person and really struggling. In that case, some buildings are turning over slowly because parking is an issue. So it's being proactive in
It's
that.
being proactive. It's talking to your current residents, businesses, and taking care of them, and also looking over your shoulder of trying to get someone else in. It's not waiting until people are leaving to try to keep them here.
Right. Right.
It's
It's
too
about
late at
solving
that point.
problems, and I
Yes.
think if you, you know, collectively, there's a lot of people sometimes that are involved in those problems, and so if you're regularly in discussion with them, if you have a plan that calls for that, then you're aware of what goes on. And another example, I suppose, is the WPCA. You know, having the charrette in town and changing, or PAD, changing over some of, again, the tools in the toolbox. Well, a secondary impact on that was the facility connection fees, and 3 years later, we solved that problem. I know as the liaison to the WPCA, I was pretty adamant about making sure that we got that on the Board of Selectmen's agenda.
Right.
Because although it was stated it's not our purview and it's ultimately up to them, we have to be the ones that are the conduit to that discussion and
That's
making
absolutely right.
those, getting those problems solved.
And what,
That's
you know,
leadership.
Right.
and that's what I think you and our team really are going to bring to the table in terms of, you know, new priorities.
Right.
And when we say new leadership, new priorities, that's what we mean. You know, some of us have been on the board, some of us are going to be new to the board, but working together with Nancy at the helm, I think of really driving economic development versus having it be kind of a reactive process
Right,
and kind of,
Right.
you know, forming committees and thought processes afterwards. It's really getting out in front of this. But make no mistake, economic development, you know, is important to seniors. It's important to education.
Right.
It's important
Yes,
to
it
open
is.
space preservation.
Absolutely.
And again, we're not talking about paving over this town or changing the character of it.
No.
But, you know, we want a senior center in this town. We've got to be able to fund that. We want to continue to grow our schools and pay for the changes that are being forced down upon us by the state and by the federal government.
Little funding.
You know, with
Or
no
no
funding.
funding.
You
Yeah, no
know, I
funding.
mean, those are, you know, those
Yeah.
are, you know, sort of every mom and dad and senior and everybody in between in this town. Economic development leads back to that, you know, to pave the roads, and, you know, the cost goes up. We need to continue to do that.
Right.
You know, we want to preserve and continue to preserve open spaces. We have a great history of doing in this town. That requires tax dollars to do so. You know, we've got to complete the next phase of the Ethel Walker purchase, you know,
Right.
which, you know, is going to be, what, about $1 million?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's a significant amount of money that, you know, we've
Yes.
got to continue to drive, you know, with nearly all of the tax burden on those of us as residents. It's just not an equation that works for the long term, you know, and it's continued to erode and erode, which is why I think, Nancy, your leadership and your plan with us helping you, is the way we can do it.
Well,
so.
and it goes to also, we talked about the depth of civic experience and the years of civic experience we all have, but there's so much professional experience here as well. And,
Absolutely.
you know, Mike is a business owner in town. I mean, it just, you know, I mean, you've seen it firsthand, and, you know, and especially, you know, you're servicing some of these folks and you're seeing probably some of their hardships and.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody, whether it's at the home or the business, it truly comes down to what do I have in my checkbook? What can I afford?
Right.
And they economize. You know, we
Yeah.
have people, very honestly, that are having a tough time paying their bills.
Yeah.
And you work with them. That's what you do for your neighbors,
Right.
and you help them
And
succeed.
what you do for your business.
Yeah, you and I had an interesting discussion also about transportation, because we were talking about meeting the housing requirements that the state is trying to have, each community try to meet. And one of the things that we heard is that, it's great to have that, but the people aren't going to come because they don't have transportation.
That's right.
And, how does the town help with things like that? Dial-A-Ride has been, at one point cut back quite significantly.
It's very limited at this point.
And in the very short term, we are going to lose revenue. We have already lost, I should say. If you go back 5 years, revenue from the Hartford has been dropping and dropping and dropping.
Yeah, I mean that's the most startling thing is, years ago the revenue started eroding and it just didn't seem like anybody was paying attention. And now all of a sudden, here we are with them moving out. It's like they almost moved out, during the middle of the night, kind of,
Yeah.
little by little. And obviously they've been a great partner. They've been proactively working with the town, and we can't say enough good things about what they're trying to do at this point. But again, it's all very reactive.
Yeah.
Your background as a lawyer obviously positions you very uniquely to help us, contribute to the team and think about things a little differently.
Right.
Yeah.
And working with, small businesses and, individuals trying to start businesses. It's
Yeah.
a great experience. And, I think this morning I spoke to a business owner here in Simsbury, and, he has little kids, and he said, I want to stay. I'm here because we have wonderful schools and I love this town. He said, but I have to support my business.
Right.
And he said, honestly, I have this one here, I'm trying to open another one, and I don't know if I can do that, and that's what we have to work with those people.
Right, and that's, I think that for those folks, those are the, and that's kind of Main Street when you look at a lot of their focus, folks that volunteer for that. They live and work in town.
They do.
Volunteer
They're
in our
here.
town. Part of the discussion that came out of the Hartford was bringing those millennial kids in, but was also, and we were talking about Sean and sort of how he is the, quintessential person who
It
wished
was
they
interesting.
could.
We kept talking about
Yeah.
me. It was
Right.
And then I said, I am the other end of it, a recent empty nester, and a lot of folks are saying, okay, I'm done with town. I've used the services. It's far too expensive for me to live here anymore. They're paying college tuitions. They're watching with the recent reval, their house taxes on their home skyrocket. And so it's imperative. And I think, I go back to why I was so compelled to step up now and run, that what is being unfulfilled. We don't have an economic development coordinator. Farmington's, I think, is $75,000 a year plus benefits. That's not an expense that we can incur right now. So what do we need to do? The buck stops with the first selectmen to
That's
do
exactly
that.
right.
And it's irresponsible of us not to address that.
Right.
You take care of your house by doing the little things, so you don't have to do the big things.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So voters and folks in the town probably want to hear a little bit more about what we've done, right, and how we're gonna enact this, right? Because
And I think back to being here 2 years ago, and as I kind of take out the palm card and different things we shared with folks, one of the things we led right off with was the senior tax relief program, and check. I know we moved right into that.
it was a bipartisan effort.
It was a bipartisan effort, and Maura spearheaded it on behalf of our side of the team. And but you and I were at every meeting. We were very committed to, as we stated when we ran, doing that. And then beyond that, I think one thing, and again, this goes back to sort of what's on people's top of mind is, we've got a great AAA bond rating. Thank God for the Board of Finance.
Yeah.
Here,
So-
here.
True.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
Right. So
Paul
you've been
Hinault
great.
has been an outstanding chairman.
Yeah, and he's up for election this time, and
Yes,
we're
he
looking
is.
forward to him being reelected.
Yeah, and then Maura with her wealth of knowledge coming from the Board of Selectmen. And again, I go back to the balance of great civic and great professional expertise, and she brings so much that she can lend to that role.
Yeah, she was a real great mentor to you and I in terms of her
Absolutely.
budgetary experience, explaining, how the line items all work together.
Yep.
And kind of getting through that, that first set of budget hearings,
Yes.
going through it. It's, you get a book this thick, and
Yeah.
you're asked to make very important decisions very quickly.
How thick?
It might actually end up being this thin.
Think about that. Yeah.
Well, we got to try to make it thinner, right?
Okay.
Right.
But
Let's not make the print too small. My eyes won't go there anymore.
But it's interesting, and then obviously serving as liaisons, and then you folks on your boards and commissions. I mean, as the liaison of the Performing Arts Center, I've gotten to watch those folks do great work in terms of continuing to resurrect Septemberfest. This is one of the best years that I can remember.
It was a lot of fun.
That was fantastic. The concerts that we had. We had some outside performances. Harry Connick
That was a lot
Jr.
of
was a
fun.
huge success with Bob Hensley.
Yes.
Former Board of Selectmen
Yep.
member, now spearheading that. We're very blessed in this town with
Great.
the volunteers that we have. But it's been really enjoyable these last 2 years to kind of be behind the scenes, to be at all those meetings, because I can't tell you how many meetings there are for Performing Arts Center.
Yeah.
For the public safety, I'm the chairman of the public safety subcommittee. So all the thoughts and great experience, and how lucky we are with the fire department, the police department, the volunteer ambulance service.
Right.
I mean, we get so many things in this town for free. It's unbelievable that what these volunteers are willing to give, and to see that behind the scenes.
I have to bounce back to your Performing Arts Center thing, because you said something, and I just thought it made so much sense, and it's there for us to see, and that was Tom Vincent had a vision. But he took it beyond vision, and he actually made it a reality.
He made it. He built it, and it's still performing.
And something
Literally.
Oh, it's great.
Septemberfest, to be down there, and we all enjoy so much being
Right.
there, meeting with people.
Oh, yeah.
That was a lot of fun. The weather was fantastic.
Great.
Oh,
We earned it.
But you run into people even after that saying, I loved that, it was great. You see people you haven't seen in a while, and not just over the summer, but so I just had to point that out. I think that's really something that he took it from vision to a reality, and that wasn't his role. I mean, when you look at the definition of a first selectman in the charter, it wasn't his role to do that, but he went above and beyond. And so I think that's really where I come from in what I want to do is take on that role of economic development, get out to the businesses, go out to developer showcases, actually, which we used to do on the Economic Development Commission.
Right.
that's right.
We put together, I designed and we made displays, and we went on the road, and we told people what Simsbury was all about. We shared pictures of the Performing Arts Center. We talked about the expansion of Phone-On. We showed people that Simsbury was a place to do business, and I wrote an article for the New England Real Estate Journal and talked really about the expansion in Simsbury, and that was the time Fiddler's Green was being renovated. And that's actually a part of this economic development is also adaptive reuse.
Right.
I know, we talk about it's not a pave it over, but it's helping existing businesses solve problems.
Right.
It's working to target really incremental tax or grantless growth that can come
The right
from,
kind of growth, but yeah.
Right, but it can come from existing buildings that when you target those specifically and you look at how they can, and you work with the owners and the folks that are
Exactly.
in there, you can really affect some change in that regard. And then of course it is going out and getting new business. It's being at the table.
Right.
Yes.
And I think that's something that
Well, you got to earn your seat at the table. You can't just throw open the doors and say, we're this, and this.
Here
You
we
have
are,
to
come
show
in.
people
Yeah.
what you are. And the economy has been tough for a few years, but
Yeah.
you set yourself up to succeed
Yeah.
by how you set that table. And
Yeah.
I'll go back to the Planning Commission with the PAD, which took a long time to develop, and then the West Street project came in, and that was all because of the PAD. That
Right.
allowed for a different way to look at doing something,
Yeah. Yeah.
and give them the flexibility to do that.
Yeah.
Something else we did was with open space. Years ago, it was
Right.
always a mandatory 20% of your open space of your property went to open space when you subdivided it.
Yeah.
Well, now you can do a payment in lieu of, which we can then use to fund some of these purchases.
Right.
That's
That
the
was a
kind
big
of
change that you
stuff.
passed on
I'm
Huge
sorry,
planning.
you were gonna-
No, that's
You
okay.
guys be quiet, Sherry.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. No, I'm listening to what you're saying, but and I'm thinking to myself, with all the different constituencies that I've worked with in my
Yeah.
life, that what's really important to me, and I know what's important to you too, but we're focused on other things, is that everybody in town has a piece of our prosperity,
Yes.
of our successes, and that means, the kids in our schools, our seniors who live all over town,
Yeah.
some of whom, have not been, paid attention to. I mean,
Right.
nobody has asked them what they want.
Yeah.
And those are the people that, you know, are really the consumers of what we're doing.
Exactly.
And part of what I do is, you know, bring all those pieces together, you know, bring the people who work in the schools, who volunteer in the schools, you know, the kids who go there, the seniors who go and volunteer there, you know, and the local business leaders, and, you know, because everybody has a piece of that.
Yeah.
And that's what's really driving me
Yeah.
to go to this position, is because I've volunteered in all those different areas. You know, I've seen how important it is to interconnect that. You know, everybody should have a piece of that.
Absolutely.
And bring them in.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so excited about this team and the prospect of working with us all on the Board of Selectmen and with our friends across the aisle. You know,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
important.
Right.
You know, when the election's
Exactly.
over, we all work together in this town, and we all
And
want to
we're all
continue.
neighbors, and that's what
We
We
are.
are,
Yep.
and we
Yep.
can
We
all
are.
work
It's about
together
what's
on
best
this.
for Simsbury.
Absolutely.
It really is. So, you know, I look forward to getting the opportunity to serve again for another 2 years, and I look forward to you guys having that opportunity, and we can share some of these liaison appointments. 'Cause,
What do you mean by that? No.
they really,
You think we spend a lot of time together now?
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's good.
So this is just the beginning of our program, and throughout the rest of the couple hours that folks are listening and watching this tape, they're going to get to know the rest of our team.
right,
And
which is
so
a great team.
Right.
It's a great team. We have a total of 19 folks, and again, I can't say enough. I go back to the breadth of unique civic and professional expertise. It's just outstanding from all walks of life, and if I mentioned it, I'd probably forget any particular one, but SCTV is wonderful, and it's a
Yes.
great opportunity to share, again, a bit about ourselves,
Right.
personally, professionally. I didn't mention I lived in town for 15 years with my husband and 2 children. I get that plug in, who both went to the schools as well, and,
Right.
and so I think that's
As did your
important.
husband.
But- As did my husband.
Right.
As did my husband, yes.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So
So one more time, who are we all?
one more time,
One more
Cheryl,
time.
go.
I'm Cheryl Cook, and I really appreciate your vote on November 5th.
And I'm Nancy Haase. I'm running for First Selectman, and I too would be very appreciative of your vote on November 5th.
I'm Sean Askham, and I'd appreciate your vote for all of us on November 5th.
Yep.
I'm Mike Paine. I look forward to hopefully getting votes and working with these folks to make Simsbury and keep Simsbury as special as it is.
So thank you for joining us today. Please continue to watch as you learn and meet the rest of our slate. And we appreciate your support. Please reach out, ask us questions,
Yes.
and we look forward to your support on November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Hello, my name is Paul Hinault, and I'm running for re-election to the Board of Finance. I have been elected to the Board of Finance 3 times, and what I could tell you about the operation of our town would take a few hours. But you don't have that time, and I only have 5 minutes to convince you to vote for me on November 5th. So please allow me that short amount of time. My priorities on the Board of Finance have always been to 1. Balance the needs of all our citizens, 2. Keep our tax burden as low as possible, and 3. Exercise sound fiscal discipline. These priorities have led to many achievements. Let me recap a few. We have improved town and school facilities, enhanced senior tax relief, obtained and maintained a AAA bond rating, kept budget increases well below the rate of inflation, secured employee benefits, maintained Simsbury's prudent investment policy, and preserved Simsbury's quality of life. This has not been done, however, without challenges along the way. These include dealing with the effects of the Great Recession, Storm Alfred, declining investment income, a state with high unemployment and declining economic indicators, chaos in our state legislature, and the numerous requests that come our way from the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Education. Let me give you a little detail. As I stated, balancing the needs of all of our citizens has been a priority during my tenure on the Board of Finance. Our community is made up of numerous constituencies with varying needs and objectives. And indeed, as business owners and homeowners, they pay the bills. My goal has been to work with the members of the elected and appointed boards and commissions and many volunteer organizations to ensure that Simsbury remains the best place to live. Teamwork has resulted in significant accomplishments. The Board of Finance has facilitated near zero or below inflation level annual budget increases over the past 5 years by working with the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Education. Through proper capital planning, we have provided a steady stream of capital spending on school improvements. The Terrifield School addition and renovation and district-wide technology, renovations to Simsbury Farms, the pool, the clubhouse, the golf course. We've also acquired open space, Ethel Walker, the Meadowwood Triangle. We've contributed to the Rosedale and Tull Meadow Farms as well. We've also provided funding for the Senior Center at Eno to make renovations. We've provided funding for new police cruisers, school buses, bike paths, and sidewalks. Fiscally, we have a very strong town balance sheet. During the fiscal crisis that began in 2008, the Board of Finance led the way with conservative financial practices that resulted in our dealing with these uncertain economic times. Under the sound fiscal management of the Board of Finance, Simsbury maintained the prestigious AAA rating from Moody's Investment Services. Due to the board's conservative reserve policies, we had all the funding that we needed to start the cleanup process after the 2011 snowstorm. Numerous challenges still face our town. They include the need to address property tax pressures on our homeowners and commercial businesses, especially in light of the loss of the revenue, the tax revenue, I should say, from the Hartford. Our commitment to quality education will require vigilance at the state level and to accommodate the changes brought on by declining enrollment. These ever-increasing challenges make it essential to balance the needs of our senior citizens while paying responsible attention to the capital needs that we all have. I'm ready to meet these challenges. With your vote, I will continue to keep my priorities straight, and they will be, as they always have been, to balance the needs of all our citizens, keep our tax burden as low as possible, and exercise sound fiscal discipline. Now, let me introduce you also to Moira Wertheimer, who, as you all know, has been on the Board of Selectmen for the past 8 years. She is now running for the Board of Finance. We need people with her experience, and I am very pleased to have her join the Board of Finance. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Moira Wertheimer. I'm running for a seat on Simsbury's Board of Finance in this year's municipal election. The past 8 years I have served as a member of Simsbury's Board of Selectmen. Thank you for allowing me to serve on your behalf. My husband Michael and I have lived in Simsbury for over 16 years. We have 2 teenage daughters that we have raised here as well. Prior to serving on the Simsbury Board of Selectmen, I served numerous years on Simsbury's Aging and Disability Commission. In my previous life, before my government service, I graduated from Georgetown University with a degree in nursing and went on to work in the mental health field with children and adolescents before attending law school. Currently, I am employed as a healthcare risk manager working in the mental health field. I am running for a seat on Simsbury's Board of Finance because I want to be a part of planning for Simsbury's long-term financial future. As we all know, Simsbury means many different things to many different people. For some, it's ice hockey. For others, it's the soccer fields. For some, it's the high-quality education that we have been long known for providing. For others, it's the senior center. For others, it's our downtown business community. Whatever it is for you, I think we can all agree that the many different attributes that Simsbury provides are what make it unique and what make us happy to call Simsbury home. I want us to be able to continue and maintain all that we have been known and are proud to have been providing to our residents. It's going to be hard in the coming years. We're about to lose the Hartford, our single biggest taxpayer. That's a significant loss of revenue. We've had 0% grand list growth for the past several years. So we're trying to maintain our services with much less, similar to many households, including my own. I have supported near 0% budgets for the last few years on the Board of Selectmen. It reflects my understanding and appreciation that at times when families and businesses are struggling, we need to do what we can to keep our taxes stable. However, there's no denying that we need to do more to bring grand list growth and economic revenue into town. Not any economic revenue, but revenue that will work for Simsbury. As myself and others work on policies to help us be able to keep revenue coming in to Simsbury and manage Simsbury's fiscal growth, it's more important than ever that we continue the Simsbury Board of Finance proud tradition of providing for conservative fiscal management policies going forward. My predecessors on the Board of Selectmen and on the Board of Finance have done well to manage Simsbury's finances, resulting in a AAA bond rating from the Moody's organization. That allows us, when we do need to borrow money, to borrow at a much lower rate than other municipalities. Simsbury has a proud tradition of managing its municipal finances in a responsible way. My 8 years on the Simsbury Board of Selectmen gives me the knowledge and experience to understand what priorities we need to address in town and where the money may come from to be able to meet those priorities. I understand that Simsbury is increasingly becoming expensive for people to continue to call home. We need to do what we can to keep residents in town who want to stay in town. Our school system has a long, proud tradition of producing fine graduates. We need to make sure we don't diminish the capacity of our school system to continue to do so. I could go on and on about the services in Simsbury that are so important to many of our residents. And the bottom line is that we need to fiscally and prudently manage our resources to continue to provide and balance the interests of our town in the most fiscally responsible way. I hope that you will vote for me this municipal election for a seat on Simsbury Board of Finance so that I can continue to serve you. I would be very honored if you would vote for me on November 5th. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lydia Tadone, and I am running for my 5th term on the Board of Education. I am presently Chair of the Board of Education and also President of the Connecticut Association of Boards of Education. We have lived in town for 26 years, and our children were raised here in town and also were educated through Simsbury Public Schools. And I'd now like to introduce my colleague, Mike Goman.
Yes, hello. My name is Mike Goman. I'm also running for the Board of Education on the Republican ticket. This will be my 4th term as a member of the Board of Education. I'm currently the secretary of the board. My children, like Lydia's, were also raised here in Simsbury and went through the Simsbury school system and doing very well in college. So I've had a lot of experience with the board. Lydia, I guess we should just chat a little bit about the upcoming budget and some of the challenges the Board of Ed is facing.
Absolutely, and with those challenges will be challenges concerning new mandates and the education reform bill that was passed several years ago. And for most districts, including ours in Connecticut, it's the Common Core Standards and teacher evaluation. And I think you can talk about a little bit of the resources that are going to be needed for a lot of these implementations.
Right. As usual, like every budget year, the budget process is about to start, and we'll be very focused on adjusting our expenditures to allow us to fulfill the Common Core standards. As you know, and our fellow board members know, we are facing a lot of challenges with some declines in enrollment that are happening around the state in a number of school districts. That's going to force us to sort of reevaluate our priorities in all our buildings. We'll be meeting on that throughout the next winter season to discuss what our options are, what our possibilities are.
Right.
So that combined with budget is critical. I think my interest in being on the Board of Ed, or continuing to be on the Board of Ed, really stems from a strong belief that education is just a critical part of the why people live here in Simsbury. So I'll continue to be, and I know you share that.
Absolutely, and I have the passion, the motivation to continue serving the citizens and residents of Simsbury and our students, because we are an exciting time, I think, Mike, I think you
That's
would
right.
also agree. We are an exciting time with public education today, and investment in public education in our schools is an investment in our children, an investment in our future.
And I know, Lydia, you share my belief that the essential role of a Board of Ed member is to be supportive of our school system, but also to be the representative of the taxpayers, between our taxpayers and many of whom have kids in the system, but many of whom also don't have kids in the system, sort of represent both sides.
Right.
And in the years you and I have shared on the school board, I know I can count on you to continue to share that focus and that representation as a board member going forward.
Absolutely, and I think with the key essence for our Board of Education is that we are a very diligent working board, hardworking board. We also work very well, have a good relationship and collegiality with the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance.
Correct.
And that also helps to improve our district goals and our vision and our mission of where we are going and where we need to be as a district.
And that's important, I agree, that's important. That good working relationship with the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance has been an essential part of our experience on the Board of Ed. So we ask for your vote on November 5th in the election. Lydia Tadone, our current board chair, and me, Mike Goldman, current board secretary. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rob Pomeroy, and I'm currently the chairman of the Zoning Commission in Simsbury, and I'm running for re-election. Wanted to reintroduce myself to you and some of my experience. I've been on the Zoning Commission. This will be my third term that I'm running for. Enjoy the opportunity to serve the town. Lived in Simsbury since 1985 and in the Farmington Valley since 1977, so this is definitely home. Raised our children here and put them through Simsbury High School, and we're very, very fond of Farmington Valley and Simsbury in particular, and glad to serve the town, especially with on the Land Use Commission and the Zoning Commission. A lot of issues around preserving the quality of life in Simsbury, and at the same time trying to promote and see where we can get development to improve the tax base for the taxpayers, all with a strong eye to preserving the wonderful community we have. With me is Derek Peterson, who is currently an alternate on the Zoning Commission and running for a permanent seat. Derek?
Thanks, Rob. Again, my name is Derek Peterson. I've been fortunate enough to live in Simsbury for over 11 years now. I'm no stranger to Simsbury. I grew up in Farmington and had family in Simsbury throughout my whole life. So what was nice about that is I got to see Simsbury on over a 30 to 35 year trajectory. And to think about where it was then and where it is now, I like it. It was a nice, slow growth pattern. And to think about where it is now, I see us needing to take that same type of approach to how we zone and how we figure out what's the best for Simsbury going forward. I have, like I said, I've lived here for 11 years. My wonderful wife Celia and our 3 daughters, 2 of which are in the Simsbury school systems now, and 1 that'll be entering next year. We love the town. Our girls are active in town. I work in town. I work for a great company called Hart Realty Advisors. They're a 30-year-old company and embedded in the community. What they do is we're basically a pension fund advisor in the commercial real estate space, and having 15 years experience in commercial real estate, I think is what really got me interested in more of the land use boards. I'd spent 5 years or so on the Economic Development Commission, and then moved on as an alternate, as you said, onto the Zoning Commission. And now I'm looking to use what I learned in the EDC, as well as the last 2 years as an alternate, and also my experience in real estate, to move on to a full seat on the Zoning Commission. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's great, and enjoyed having you on the commission as an alternate. We talk about being an alternate. I started as an alternate. You're not really an alternate for very long because the fact of the matter is you get to listen to all of the presentations and applications and end up voting on a high percentage of them just because of the need to have a full quorum. So
yeah, I'm excited about what's gone on here in Simsbury. I mean, with the passage of the PAD, this was a few years back now. I probably mentioned it 2 years ago, but you know, I was part of drafting that language, and you know, it was a great code. I mean, if you look at what's happened over on Mill Pond Road with those new apartments and townhomes going in there, that's an exemplary of what we were trying to do with the PAD. And since then, you know, the Town Center Code, another great code. I'm excited about what we can do in downtown Simsbury now.
Yeah, no, I think I agree. I think this whole approach that has really sort of come much more into practice in the 4 or 5 years that I've been involved of using form-based code as opposed to just what they call Euclidean zoning, which was based on not less shape and more use.
Right.
I think that this is very exciting, and I would echo the same thing. I think this town should get very, very high marks for the interactive process, the charrette process, getting a lot of input. The most recent discussions about the Hartford property, a great deal of very important town participation.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, I think we need to match the expectations of the townspeople with the people who are making decisions. And you know, I see the Hartford as a challenge. I don't think that it's anything that we can't overcome, certainly. But what the people in Simsbury need to understand is that we're trying to diversify our revenue streams, and you know, as stewards of the community, doing what's best for them as well. And I can see that happening at the Hartford over time. Again, we have a lot of tools in the toolbox, and I know that's been thrown around a lot lately. But what I'd like to not have is too many tools or duplicate tools. I mean, 5+ years ago, we were looked at as a developer-unfriendly community, and I think we got over that. But you know, we need to be partners with the landowners and partners with the shareholders in town. So you know, with regard to the Hartford, we need to extend an olive branch to somebody who might come in and want to change the shape of that property, and that's an exciting thing to do. But we don't want to confuse people coming in who have a great idea for that. And I like I said, I think we have the tools. We just don't want to have too many tools.
You're right. That's the biggest challenge, I think, for the zoning commission as fiduciaries for the citizens of the town, as well as for the property owners in town, or the people that own property that seek to have it be developed, is keeping that balance between rational, appropriate development and growth with preservation of the character and nature of the town, and getting that citizen input in the kind of intense way that we do. The charrette is extremely helpful.
Yeah, and also, you know, especially in this political time of year, you know, you walk door to door and you talk with people. And I was in a neighborhood walking, and I talked to a guy who looked similarly aged to me, and I saw a couple kids running around in the background. And you know, at the end of the day, he said, I just want our tax dollars to be used in an appropriate way. He said, but you know, at the end of the day, I don't know if I'm the right demographic for the town of Simsbury. And that was a big concern to me. That was really a reality check, because I could have been looking in the mirror, you know, kids getting ready to go through the school system or in the school system. So we need to make sure there's a match of expectations, and knowing who we are and know what we can provide, and then slowly and responsibly growing. I know, you know, smart growth is one of those things that gets thrown around. The key is that we must grow here in Simsbury. We have to differentiate ourselves from the rest of the towns around the valley. And you know, it's a great area. I'm excited about, like I said, what we can do downtown. And you know, we do differentiate ourselves in that we do have a downtown. I mean, the things that we can do on Iron Horse and Drake Hill, and you know, like you said, like you mentioned, the form-based code, we can make this a truly walkable community. There are only a handful of sites that we really can produce additional, you know, revenues from, and I think that's a good thing. And some of them are large, you know, larger tracts of land, but what we have to remember is we don't have to do it all at once. Since I was a kid to now, Simsbury's never done it all at once. Let's just take a smart approach and keep moving forward.
Yeah, no, it's an awesome responsibility, and I would hope that the voters, when they think about who they should entrust that with, would think about the people who've had experience doing it and have taken the challenge of the balance of those interests so that they're done in a very appropriate way.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
thank you for your time. We would appreciate your vote. Again, Rob Pomeroy for zoning.
And Derek Peterson for zoning as well. If you have any questions or need a ride to the polls, please contact me. You can find my email on the town website. Feel free to reach out to me in any ways if you have any concerns. I'm sure Rob feels the same way. But we want you out at the polls on November 5th, so
Thanks a lot.
please come out.
Hi, thank you for joining us. My name is Kevin Prell, and I'm here with Bob Kulikowski. We're both current members of the Planning Commission, and we're asking for your vote this November. First of all, we're current members of the Planning Commission, as I mentioned earlier before. Some of the things the Planning Commission does is we take a long-term perspective on how to grow this community responsibly. One of the most recent things that the Planning Commission reviewed was the subdivision regulations.
The subdivision regulations were recently updated by the Planning Commission because they've been there since the early 90s, and it was time for an update. I'm Bob Kulikowski. I'm currently a alternate member of the Planning Commission, and I'll be running for a full seat on the Planning Commission this time around. I'm a current resident of Simsbury, been a resident since the early 80s, and both my kids went through Simsbury Public Schools and are currently living out of state, enjoying their newfound lives.
And my name is Kevin Prell. I've been a resident of Simsbury for about 13 years now. I'm married. I have 2 children. My wife is a hospice nurse at McLean. I have 2 boys that are currently in the public school system. One is at the middle school and one is at the high school. I'm a big believer in giving back to the community. I've been active board member on the Simsbury Little League, active board member on the Babe Ruth, and I've been a planning commissioner for the past 2 years, and I'd like to be reelected. I'm a true believer of giving back to your community, and one of the things that I believe in is that we currently need leaders as part of Simsbury to figure out a way to grow this community and grow it responsibly, and to look for those things to preserve those things that we've all moved here for. So again, Bob and I are asking for your vote this November. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Carol Bingham, and I'm with Jackie Battis. We are running for the Simsbury Zoning Board of Appeals, and we're both incumbents, and we would like to be reelected. Hi, Jackie.
Hi, Carol. How are you?
I thought this would be a good time for you to tell us about yourself and why you would like to be reelected to the Simsbury Zoning Board of Appeals.
Okay. I've been on the Zoning Board of Appeals for the past year, and I bring with me the expertise from real estate. I've been in real estate for 8 years, and I feel that it's very important to volunteer for the town of Simsbury. I have lived here all my life, and also the president of the Ladies Auxiliary for the Simsbury Fire Department, and I've been involved with them for 10 years. And this is our town. I think it's very important to give back, and I'd like you to maybe say a word or two about yourself.
Same thing. Well, Carol Bingham, and I've been on the Zoning Board of Appeals for the last few years. Before that, I was on the Library Board for 14 years. So most of the 23 years that I've lived here, I've been volunteering for the town in some capacity. And I too think it's pretty darn important to be active in your town, support it. And So yes, I raised my kids here, and I'm part of the garden club. What I bring to the Zoning Board of Appeals, I think, is since I was a stay-at-home mom most of this time, I've been to so many neighborhoods and been in a lot of homes over the course of the 23 years. And so when something comes up, I kind of know the background, the history of that neighborhood, and can visualize and know what the change, how it would affect.
Right.
So, and obviously I'm committed to this town. I love our community. I'm sure
Me
you
too.
do too.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think the best thing about Simsbury is?
The people.
Yeah.
And I find a lot of people in my age as well that come back to Simsbury to live, to raise their kids. They love it here. So I absolutely agree with that.
And I think they love it because of things that we've done to nurture it.
Right.
That doesn't just happen. You work to preserve some of the land here. You work to make sure that the volunteer fire department runs smoothly, so that you have, or that we have a good library, same kind of thing.
Yeah, it's very important.
Good.
And as far as the Zoning Board of Appeals, I think that we have an important job, and we listen to the concerns of the residents, and I think that we make sure that we try to hear every side. We ask if the neighbors have anything that they want to bring up, any concerns, before we make any action or do any variances.
Absolutely, we listen. But I think it's also important for the viewers to know that they train us in what they do. I've been through the Yukon land application program, and then we learn from others that have had longer tenure from us. We teach each other.
Absolutely.
So it's not like we're just,
Right.
Winging it.
Right.
We kind of know what we're doing.
Yeah.
So, and I think the viewers should also know it's a volunteer job,
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, we're all volunteers, and that's us giving back to the town that we like, you know? So maybe we should ask for their votes.
Vote for us.
Vote for me, November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Tegan Blackburn, who is also an incumbent and is actually the chairman of the Zoning Board of Appeals at this time. And we look forward to hearing from Tegan.
My name is Tegan Blackburn, and I'm a candidate for the Zoning Board of Appeals in the coming November elections. I welcome the opportunity to continue serving the community in this role. I'm an unaffiliated voter and running for re-election on the Republican slate. Some of our viewers may not be familiar with the role of this commission, so I'd like to take a moment to talk about what this commission does. The primary role of the Zoning Board of Appeals is to provide relief to homeowners and landowners because of unique situations on their property that would cause them an extreme hardship if the zoning regulations were to be strictly enforced. They can come before our commission, describe the situation, explain what the hardship is, and request relief. There are other land use commissions in town, such as zoning and planning, which have different roles and often hear applications for larger commercial projects. Many of the applications that come before our commission, the Zoning Board of Appeals, involve homeowners and other property owners who have very unique characteristics on their property. So they can come before us to describe what the particular hardship is and request relief. This is one of the most important roles our commission plays. A little bit about me. I've been a resident of Simsbury for the past decade. I grew up in Avon, and I've also lived and worked in New York, California, and Florida before returning to the Farmington Valley a little more than a decade ago. I'm an attorney in private practice, and my office is also located here in Simsbury. I have an extensive background in business and corporate law, estate planning, succession planning, real estate, and have also worked on many land use applications throughout the country. This experience has allowed me to bring a lot of practical experience to this commission, helping property owners find solutions to the unique problems they're facing. I also serve on several other private and nonprofit boards in town and feel fortunate that I've had the opportunity to work with so many talented, dedicated volunteers in the community who donate their time and talents to these important commissions. I'm also the president here at SCTV, and I'd like to take a moment to talk about the important role our station plays in the community. Our station broadcasts over 3 channels, channels 5, 95, and 96, covering many important events in town, including the upcoming elections. We invite our viewers to check out our calendar of events on Channel 5 and to visit our website, where you can find many of our programs and coverage of town events streaming live right to your computer. We also tape many of the local commission meetings and public hearings at Town Hall, so if you can't make it to a meeting, you can view these anytime right from our website. We also have so many talented volunteers I'd like to thank who, without their time and talents, we wouldn't be able to bring you all these important programs. SCTV is a nonprofit organization and relies heavily on the support of donors just like you. I'd also like to thank all of our business sponsors for their generous support. If you have an interest in volunteering or learning more about the station, please visit our website or give us a call. You can tune into channels 5 and 96 for more local election coverage. Please don't forget to come out and vote. I really appreciate your support in the upcoming election. Tegan Blackburn, candidate for Zoning Board of Appeals. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Steve Nocera, and I'm running for the Board of Assessment Appeals. The board that I serve on currently is a great board for the residents of this town. What we do is make sure that if you feel that you're being overassessed or taxed, you have an opportunity to come see us and potentially lower your bill. Because on this board, we believe one thing, that everyone should pay their fair share and not a penny more. I've lived in this town for 3 years, and I've started to raise my young son and baby daughter. My wife and I simply love it. It's been wonderful here, and I would like to ask for your support and vote on November 5th. Thank you so much.
Hello. We are 2 of 3 candidates for the Library Board of Directors nominated by the Republican Party. And we were going to introduce ourselves and tell you a little bit about why we should be elected to the position. Polly?
Hi, I'm Polly Rice, and I've been around town for a long time. I grew up here, went to Simsbury High, left for a little while, came back 20 years ago, and my husband and I have 2 children currently at Simsbury High, so we're very busy taking them here and there everywhere and often to the library. I feel that my knowledge of the library, I've been on the board of the Friends, and just using it all the time. Not to mention just corporate involvement and a lot of volunteering would allow me to serve the board well. So Chris, how about you?
My name is Chris Morkin. I grew up in town. I've been lucky to have met my wife in town and raised 2 boys in town who attended the public schools. I was actually served on the Library Board of Directors for 8 years and very much enjoyed my time there. I curtailed my involvement as my boys were growing up, and I'm finally in a position to dedicate more time to things like this that I care about, because the library is very important to both the community and to myself and to my children. And so I'm looking forward to the opportunity to make what is a great institution a little bit better. Tell me a little bit, Polly, about what you're thinking of for the library and its future.
Well, I think we have to keep track of where technology is going regarding the library. We need to make sure we're current, because if you fall behind on those kinds of things, you could get behind very quickly. And I also feel that there's a little bit of a need that we should continue to look at developing. I know there's been some talk about looking at programs for the people between the age of, say, 12 and 30, 35. I think we've kind of lost track of what those folks need. And I think just maintaining a lot of what we're already doing, but being smart how we spend the money would be a smart thing to do.
That's a very good point. As we were talking about, I think that's the hardest thing when you're working with an institution that's so high functioning, like the library is, to approach it with real fiscal responsibility and to decide where those lines need to be so that the mission maintains a clear focus while really exploiting all the assets that the library already has in place while looking for new opportunities to create new programs. That's a really great point.
Good.
Tell me, what's your favorite library memory?
I think back in high school, it kind of makes me, dates me here, but I remember going to this library in the old location, me and my classmates working hard on term papers, and we were in probably a space that was, the size of a living room in our homes, and there was 40 of us working on term papers, and we would all fight for certain books, and it was kind of comical, and it's maybe not my the best memory of library, but it shows where Simsbury has come with the offerings to the town that we've developed and created here for the people of Simsbury. Maintaining that, the availability of information and having the space to do it. It's been great. How about you? What's your favorite memory?
I have a couple. One that I can think of that's very personal, that I just loved the opportunity when I was new to town, when the library was actually still occupied in the what is now the genealogical library. I could ride my bike from our house. And so being new to town, especially the summer before I started school, it was just such a great destination for a kid who didn't know many people in town or much about it. It was just such a great resource, and it just created a relationship between me and the library that's lasted my entire life. But the other one that I really think of is my boys at the library. It was just such a great destination as they were, going from toddler to preschool to school. They just so enjoyed going to the library. There were just so many things that just enthralled them, from the amount of books, the amount of the play kitchen, everything that they
How about going home with those stacks of books and then 10 days later finding them all again?
Absolutely. And getting their first library card.
Oh,
Those
I
are
know.
just
Great.
great milestone events. And I think that those are things that will continue even in the digital age, that
Right.
those kind of opportunities will present themselves, and a love of learning and a love of libraries and a love of books is something that we can instill. And it's a great opportunity. And I think this is our opportunity to make sure that that is something that gets passed along to the next generation.
Great, great.
So with that, I think that we could conclude that our contribution to this. I hope you will remember to vote for us in November. We look forward to serving. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Ann Erickson. I am seeking re-election to the Simsbury Library Board of Trustees, and I certainly would love to have your support on November 5th. I've been on the library board for a while, and I enjoy working for the town and for you, the residents, very much. During my time on the board, we have been responsible for, and I've been involved in, the library expansion and renovation project, which has brought you the new beautiful library that's now standing on Hop Meadow Street. We worked to get the grants, we secured the funding, we got the project through the various town boards, which is difficult to do, as most of you would know, and we brought it to referendum. The entire project came in on time and under budget, and for many years now we have been enjoying that, or at least I have, and I assume most of the members of town have been enjoying the new library. As part of that project, I was also on the interior design task force, which was charged with making the interior of the library as lovely as the exterior, and a place where you and your families would like to come and enjoy and learn and read and be a part of the middle of town. In addition, on the library board, I've been the corresponding secretary for many, many years. I have also been on their finance committee. Recently, I have also been on the search committee for the new librarian, who we have recently hired. I think she's going to be a really plus for the town and for the library, and we hope that you enjoy her as much as we have. Proud of several things that have happened on the library. I'm very proud that the library board is a non-political board. We work for the town, we work for you, and we work for the library. Recently, I have been on the search committee to find a new library director for the library. This was a very intense process over the spring months, and we're very proud of our new library director, and I know as you get to know her, you will be too. I, along with the other members of the library board, have worked very hard over the past year to 2 years to restore the library hours that were cut by the Board of Selectmen for the budget crisis. And we are very proud that we have gotten, by working cooperatively with the Selectmen, have restored the hours back to the library that we know that you wanted. I am very proud of the fact that the library board is a very non-political board. We work very closely with the library, for the library, and for you. We try to listen to you, listen to your concerns, listen to the things that you want to see happen in the library, and we try to work them and provide them for you. I'm also proud of our award-winning and innovative Business and Technology Center, which has taken off a life of its own and is being recognized not only on the state level, but on the national level as well. And additionally, any time that libraries are ranked in the state and even across the country, Simsbury Public Library consistently is ranked among the top libraries. Looking to the future, I would like very much to maintain the excellence of the library as it is, the excellence of the Business and Technology Center. I would like to continue improving the technology, which is an ever-changing occurrence. I would like to see the library's website improved. I would like to see the expansion of the ebook collection. And I think another point of emphasis for us would be to create some online education so that the courses that you could take at home online rather than actually having to come into the building. Before I close, just let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am a 30-year resident of Simsbury and very proud of that. My 3 children, David, Daniel, and Lauren, have all been products of the school system and went all the way through from nursery school all the way through to high school. In addition, I have been involved in the PTO. I have been PTO president at Tooten Hills and vice president there as well. Townwide, I was involved in the Townwide Cultural Enrichment Committee. I was part of the Simsbury Arts Council, which brought to the town opening night, which we founded and has been taken over and is now known as Simsbury Celebrates. In terms of my working history, I have been a special education teacher here in Simsbury with the preschool program. Later, I became the Meals on Wheels coordinator, delivering meals to the people of Simsbury and neighboring towns, with over 250 of you as volunteers, as absolutely dedicated and wonderful volunteers, and these meals were prepared and came out of the McLean home. And more recently, I changed direction just a little bit. I am a nursing home administrator, having worked now for both Apple Healthcare, and currently I am the licensed administrator for the health center at Seabury. In conclusion, just let me say that I have worked very hard for the town, and I've worked very hard for the people, and I've worked very hard for the Simsbury Public Library, and I would love to continue to do so. I hope that you'll give me the opportunity, and I look forward to your support on November 5th.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.